She posted, "Single girl energy cherry blossom." I commented, "Now you really are single, I'm gone." And I tagged her mom. Silence. A wave of something, a violent cocktail of fury, adrenaline, and a strange, hollow emptiness, surged through me. It was the digital equivalent of dropping a grenade and then walking away, waiting for the explosion. My fingers trembled slightly as I held the phone, the screen still glowing with my final, brutal words. I had tagged her mom. I knew it was low. But after everything, I no longer cared about playing fair. The silence that followed was deafening, a vacuum where the world should have been screaming. It started, as these things often do, with a whisper of doubt. A vague sense of unease that grew into a persistent hum. For months, I'd been watching the slow unraveling of our relationship, or perhaps more accurately, the slow reveal of her true nature. Her social media was a flickering beacon of toxicity, a curated highlight reel of a life I was increasingly excluded from. There were the late-night posts with friends I'd never met, the cryptic captions that felt like inside jokes I wasn't in on, and the constant need for validation from strangers. I'd try to talk to her about it. "Who's that?" I'd ask, pointing to a photo on her feed. "Oh, just a friend," she'd say, her tone a little too casual, her eyes a little too shifty. Then came the micro-betrayals. The missed calls at 2 a.m. that she'd blame on a dead battery. The sudden, spontaneous trips she'd take without telling me, only for me to find out through her Instagram stories. Each one was a tiny cut, a small tear in the fabric of our trust. My internal struggle was a constant battle between my gut instinct screaming, "Get out," and my heart, which was still holding on to the person I thought she was. The real cracks started showing on my birthday. She posted a photo of herself with a group of people, none of whom I recognized, captioning it, "Best birthday weekend ever. So grateful for these amazing people." The picture wasn't from our celebration, which had been a quiet dinner for two. It was from some nightclub, filled with flashing lights and a crowd I didn't know. The betrayal wasn't in the event itself, but in her silence about it, and the brazen way she presented it online. Another time, I saw a screenshot on her phone. A text conversation with a guy she claimed was just a colleague. The messages were filled with emojis and flirtatious banter. "What's this?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. She snatched the phone back, her face a mask of indignation. "It's nothing. You're so insecure." The fight that followed was a classic performance from her playbook. She'd twist my valid concerns into an attack on her freedom, gaslighting me until I was the one apologizing. Her social media was a constant source of friction. The more she posted, the more I felt like an outsider looking in on her life. It was a digital breadcrumb trail of a relationship that was slowly dissolving. The "single girl energy" post was the final, undeniable sign. It wasn't just a caption, it was a public declaration. A neon sign flashing for everyone to see that she had checked out, long ago. My comment was the sound of a door slamming shut. The silence that followed was the sound of a broken lock. The silence was eerie. I expected a call, a text, a frantic message filled with excuses and apologies. But nothing came. Her friends, who were also my friends, started reaching out. "What happened?" they'd ask, their voices a mixture of curiosity and concern. I told them the truth, simply and directly. She posted a picture about "single girl energy." I ended it. The reactions were varied. Some were shocked, others seemed to have suspected something for a long time. Her family was the real mystery. I had tagged her mom, a woman I had always respected. Her mom hadn't liked or commented on the post. She hadn't called me. The silence from her was the most unsettling of all. Then, the messages started. First, a simple text, "Hey, what's wrong?" I ignored it. Then, a series of frantic calls. I let them all go to voicemail. Her messages became more desperate. "It was just a joke. You know me, I post stupid things all the time. It didn't mean anything, babe, I love you. The manipulation was so transparent it was almost pathetic. She was trying to fit a broken narrative back together with flimsy excuses. The most infuriating part was her public performance. She started posting cryptic stories on Instagram, sad quotes about misunderstandings and people who don't get you. She was playing the victim, and it was a role she was all too familiar with. But this time, I didn't crumble. Instead of feeling hurt and confused, the anger and pain began to solidify into a hard, cold resolve. Each manipulative text and passive-aggressive post was a testament to her true character, reinforcing that I had made the right decision. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was the final chapter of a story I no longer wanted to be in. Her attempts to get me back intensified. She started showing up at places she knew I'd be. The coffee shop, the gym, even the small bookstore where I spent my Saturday afternoons. "Can we just talk?" she'd plead, her eyes wide and full of fake remorse. I'd simply shake my head and walk away. The social media battlefield was now in full swing. She posted photos of herself looking happy and carefree, clearly trying to prove that she was fine without me. Her posts were laden with thinly veiled digs. "Some people don't know a good thing until it's gone," one caption read, followed by a teary-eyed emoji. I chose to remain silent, but others didn't. To my surprise, a mutual friend, Sarah, messaged me. Sarah was one of her closest friends, and I had always been wary of her. "Look, I know this is awkward," she wrote, "but I saw her stories. She's been doing this to you for months. She told me you guys were on a break a week ago." My heart sank. The full weight of her deceit finally hit me. Then, her mom called. My heart hammered in my chest. I braced myself for a lecture about my cruel post. Instead, she said, "I saw what you wrote. I'm so sorry. I always hoped you'd be the one to get through to her." She then proceeded to tell me things I never knew, the lies, the constant need for attention, and the tangled web of half-truths she had been spinning since she was a teenager. The stories were darker than I could have imagined. I was no longer just dealing with a toxic ex, I was dealing with a master manipulator. The tipping point came when she posted a photo of herself with a guy, a mutual acquaintance we both knew, with the caption, "Finally found someone who gets me." It was a deliberate, final act of provocation. I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. It wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. I crafted my final post carefully. I didn't resort to insults or personal attacks. Instead, I simply laid out the facts, screenshot by screenshot, lie by lie. The late-night calls, the flirty texts, the secret trips, and the conversations with her mom and Sarah. The post was a chronological, irrefutable timeline of her deception. I didn't tag her. The truth didn't need a tag. It would find her. The response was immediate and overwhelming. My phone blew up with messages of support and disbelief. Her friends started to unfollow her. Her carefully constructed facade crumbled in an instant. She tried to save face, posting a half-hearted apology, blaming a moment of weakness, and then claiming I was crazy and making things up. But it was too late. The evidence was there, a public record of her lies. The social media world, her world, turned on her. The final silence wasn't from me this time. It was from everyone else. The digital echo chamber she had built for herself went completely quiet. The catharsis was profound. It wasn't the kind of angry, vindictive release I had imagined. It was a deep, quiet sense of peace. I had faced the ugly truth and walked away. The weight of her lies and manipulations lifted, and I felt lighter than I had in years. Months later, I am a different person. I no longer scroll through social media with a knot in my stomach. I have unfollowed her and her entire circle. The anxiety is gone, replaced by a quiet confidence. I'm learning to trust my own judgment again, to listen to the whisper of my gut and not the loud, confusing shouts of a toxic relationship. My phone is silent, and it's a wonderful, peaceful silence. I've reconnected with old friends and found new hobbies. I am no longer defined by the chaos of my past relationship. I still think about that first comment. The raw fury that drove me to tag her mom. It was a desperate act, but it was also the first step towards my freedom. It was the moment I chose to stop being a victim and start telling my own story. Looking back, I wouldn't have done it any other way. What would you have done if you were me?